big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar. As the prophecy was once retconned by an omnipotent being, I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I'm one gin and juice deep. Broadcaster Nickels.
And today, Broadcaster Nickels, we have yet another excellent Disney Plus Marvel offering to touch base on. Really go around the wagon, circle the wagons, as they say, on just another thrilling chapter in women's empowerment.
Are you talking about tentacle porn?
I wish I was, Broadcaster Nickels, but no, I'm talking about the demasculinization of Loki, which pairs well with our upcoming preview, the demasculization of Jean-Luc Picard.
Which is tentacle porn. It ended on tentacle porn.
And will be cleansed. It'll be a palate cleanser when we get to our review of Nobody, which re-emasculates the universe. Broadcaster Nickels, what do you think of episode 1 of Loki? What is your hot take?
Before I answer that question, I have to say Bob Odenkirk, if he would have heard what you just said there, that probably would have been one of the best things he's ever.
They'll put that on the cover of the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel says it re-emasculates the universe.
So what about Loki?
Let's hear it. Let's hear your steaming hot take on this hot property known as Loki.
Well, I wouldn't call it hot. I call it like still a hot coal, like it was a raging fire for sure. No doubt. It was a rager last night, but no one put the no one put the fire out. So there's still some strong coals. Maybe you cook breakfast over them,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. The whole Disney Plus arc, even WandaVision, which I liked, I gave a pretty favorable review. It's just, it feels like the second string. And I don't know shit about football,
Yeah.
It just, and Loki's no different. I see what they're trying to do. I see that they're trying to make Loki look like damaged goods, and they're going to try to, reform him from a villain to an anti-hero, which I feel like he already kind of was after the first Avengers. Especially when they killed him off in was it Endgame? No, it was Infinity War. They killed him off.
Yeah.
So
that was
that was
one
his
of
redemption.
the better scenes of Infinity War 2. And I really liked that movie, and that scene where Loki died, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. So I feel like that was kind of what you needed, but it's clear to me that Loki is the Disney Plus show is clearly trying to go down this path of Loki being this damaged goods little brother who daddy didn't like him enough and mommy didn't pay attention enough, type of thing. And he needs attention. That's all he needs. He just needs encouragement. He'll be good. Like, I see the patterns already. I don't know. It just, it's not intriguing to me. And it's definitely not suspenseful to me. It seems like a lecture to me when I'm watching Loki.
Oh, yeah. That first episode, and that's all I've seen. I think it's all you've seen. It was definitely
I've seen a little bit of episode 2. I didn't finish it, so I won't talk about it. But yeah, I know.
It was basically just like, you know what, Loki? We have ultra god powers that supersede your regular god powers, and we're going to make you look like a fool because you are a white man, and we want to make sure that the powerful black woman, both as a soldier / jailkeeper and the judge, can look down upon you as the filth you are and tell you.
Which is all new canon, by the way. That's all made up. Yeah, that the TVA and the time gods or whatever. That's a new supreme entity that they made up for the show. Like that's
not even Source, huh?
No, not
wow. As Owen Wilson would say. Wow.
I think this is going to be their way of slowly unraveling the universe, the parts of the universe that everyone wants, but they can't really really explain in the current like tool set they have available. So I think this is the first of many new details that's going to slowly explain the introduction of, say, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and
yeah,
entities like Galactus and Silver Surfer, which I forget the guy.
I don't think Silver
actual
Surfer
name
is ever coming, dude. I've given up on
no
Silver
doubt.
Surfer.
No doubt. I feel like if Galactus comes, Silver Surfer's coming. No doubt. In fact, I feel like the chances are actually high because of how bad they did Galactus. So I feel like if they do bring him back, they got to do it right, which is with Silver Surfer. But anyways, yeah, I just feel like that's what they're trying to do with the TVA, and all the power to them. But again, I'll just circle back, like Jen Psaki would say. I'm gonna circle back to that and just say that it just feels like as the cool kids would say, doesn't pass the vibe check. It just.
No, it doesn't. It really tries to frame Loki as a toddler, and the only redeeming quality of this entire episode was our boy Owen Wilson, who was good.
Yeah, he's a solid actor.
He is.
Just like even in the shittiest roles, he shines.
Basically, every scene in the first episode with Owen Wilson was okay to good, and every scene without him was okay to horrible. He was really like the pivotal actor that carried what little there was to carry in the episode. Yeah. But even some scenes with him, like where he's lecturing Loki on like, I want to know what makes you tick, man. Are you bad? Do you do bad things? You're a bad guy. And fucking the whole... Dude, how cringy.
They really had a chance to make that funny, too. When they first set that up, I thought this was going to be a really funny take, like on a good cop, bad cop type of thing. But they just ruined it.
They did. How cringy are the Avengers at this point? Like this episode really, one of the main takeaways I have from this episode is that the Avengers, aka the Hollywood cinema Avengers, have crossed this threshold where when I see them do their little assemble thing, it is one of the cringiest things I've seen in years. Even though I've seen it like a bunch of times, and when I first saw it, I didn't think it was that cringy. I thought it was kind of corny, but I didn't think it was cringy.
Because you haven't seen it on the big screen.
Now, like when they're showing it in the hologram, and they made it a point to show it like 3 different times, right? Like they didn't just show that little thing once. They kept showing it. Like they're like, these are the good guys, Loki. They're way better than you. It was cringy, man. I can't look at it and just be like, this is serious. This is not serious.
Well, I mean, comics have always been cringy, so this is no surprise to me. It's just the Hollywood nostalgia. Like when it first gets introduced, I don't think anyone cares that it's cringy. They're like, holy shit, comics are on the big screen. Now you can look back on it and be like, yeah, Power Rangers was cringy back in the day too. But when you were a kid, that shit was fire.
Well, dude. No, dude, I'm gonna fire back on that one a little bit. I just rewatched Power Rangers like last year, and it's not cringy. It's just fucking cheesy as fuck. Like it's a 10 out of 10 on the cheesy factor, but it's not cringy. There isn't anything you really cringe at.
The only thing that's not cringy, dude, is White Ranger Jason Frank leaning up against the locker, looking at fucking Tiffany, fucking just with those fuck you eyes. Because it's like, after we're done fucking up the clay bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only parts where I'm just like, man, I want to be the White Ranger right now.
Yeah, Godzilla in the streets and a white tiger in the sheets.
Listen, dude.
Yeah.
Was that her name, Tiffany? Pink Ranger was Tiffany, right?
I think so.
I can't remember. I was fucking like 9.
That might actually be the actress's name who plays her.
But, Kim.
Yeah, Kimberly.
Kim.
Yep,
Kimberly, yeah. Kimberly, there we go.
But the actress might actually be named Tiffany. You say that. I don't know for sure.
I don't care.
Who cares? Broadcaster Nickels.
Am I right, boys?
On a scale of 0 to 4, how excited are you for the next episode of Loki? Damn.
You know, I'm not really excited. I'm not really excited for the series in general. I wasn't excited for it before I started either. I saw the trailer. I mean, they pretty much revealed a little bit of every episode in the initial trailer. So kind of get the idea of where it's going. I pretty much read every comic that they're stealing from just based on the trailer, and none of them are the greatest of Loki's, which doesn't give me a lot of hope per se. The only thing I can think is that this might set up Loki at the very end somehow with like this subvert your expectations type of shit as a bigger villain than he ever was, which would be cool, but I'm not getting the vibe that that's what they're doing.
No.
So I'd probably give it like 4 thumbs down.
Well, that's not the scale that I gave you, but I'll allow it. Dude, I really want to like this show because I love Owen Wilson so much, and I just miss him. Like, he's not in anything anymore, I feel like. Maybe he is, and it's just not shit I watch, but it's really cool seeing him again, and I'm glad that he still has his acting chops. In fact, I think he might be a better actor now than he was in all the movies I love him from. So it's cool seeing him again, but there's nothing really about this show that grabs me. The whole thing with the time authority and the made up canon, as you just explained, it seemed paper thin before you told me there was no source material. So now that you tell me there's no source material, it actually makes a lot more sense. Because it just kind of feels like something a kid would make up. Like, oh, you think the Infinity Gems are good and all this shit? Well, we're going to make up this, like, omnipotent layer above that where they use them as paperweights. Like, it's just... It feels lazy. It feels like you're just stacking on top without, like, expanding sideways. It's vertical progression, not horizontal progression, and that's a key sin, I feel like, in comic books. I don't like it so far at all. And the ending where they basically say, okay, Loki's joining the Time Police. That's what it feels like, that he's becoming like the partner of Owen Wilson, which, by the way, could be cool because their synergy is good. I like the vibes between them, like their rapport between each other. It was good. And that could be good if they really focus in on that and make that a feature of the show. But the way that they set up the end with like, oh, you're fighting yourself and it's evil Loki, and they show him like murder a bunch of peeps at the end, then grab one of those Men in Black time mind erase bombs, whatever those things are that make everyone forget the time incursion. It just feels like they're going to go the most predictable way possible, and that the show's just going to end with Loki becoming an intersectional feminist.
Well, didn't he come out as gender fluid?
Yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe he becomes transgender at the end. You know, the finale is him getting the bits. And
there's a female Loki.
Yeah, but they want to do it. They don't want to do
female
it.
Loki is hot as fuck, and she steps out of the portal and just punches male Loki right in the dick. Just fucking right back into the portal. No words exchanged.
As you know, there's a good way and a bad way to do female Loki, and how do you have any faith that they're going to do the good way? You know they're going to tie it into current day politics and social justice and all the crap with the trans movement. You know that's going to happen. They're not going to just make it cool like, oh, it's just a different Loki who's just this hot chick. Like, it's not going to be like that. You know that, right?
No, I'm surprised they're even doing the female Thor, to be honest, because like the origin, like the way they did female Thor in the comics, I just don't think it would fly.
Oh, is it politically incorrect? I
don't know. I just get like, it's Jane Foster gets like critical cancer, like she like stage 4, like bad, like she becomes like bedridden, and for some reason Mjolnir chooses her to be Thor. And when
For
she,
some reason.
yeah, well, we all know why. But anyways,
Padme.
Mjolnir finds cancer-ridden Jane Foster worthy at that point in her life, not before cancer, because Mjolnir is, just a dick in that way. But nonetheless, Mjolnir finds Jane Foster worthy, and when she does call Mjolnir to become Thor, it's like a Shazam transformation from cancer patient to what used to be Victoria's Secret angels. Just big-breasted, beautiful blonde.
So we're talking
with Valkyrie armor on. Just
we're talking Sailor Moon,
ass.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's like on that level.
See,
and I just
like
can't
that.
imagine them doing that nowadays. Like people would fucking just scree over that. You're like, how dare you make cancer patients feel like they have a chance? They're gonna be like, and how dare you make it a white woman? Well, Jane Foster was already white. I don't
Cancer
care.
patients can't be cured by magical hammers, only by pharmaceutical company approved chemotherapy treatments. Coming to you for $99,999 every 1 week. Certain restrictions apply. Call your vaccine pimp for more details.
That's the other thing too, like Chris Hemsworth is already been on the record that he would want to stay, but he's already getting pushed out in the new Thor.
That's because the Force is female, broadcaster Nickels. Kathleen Kennedy now runs MCU.
But that should just tell everybody, that the good times are over. Not even the old Vanguard that wants to stay is allowed to stay. Okay, guys? So, just keep that in mind. There is no creative input anymore. There's an agenda, and it's not looking good. In the history of all of it's not good. So, they already destroyed Star Wars. And I think Marvel was just saved because it started right before all this movement shit. But it quickly got corrupted by it.
Yeah, and you just know that they are licking at the chops to do an all-female ensemble superhero movie with Brie Larson and fucking Scarlett Johansson and fucking Natalie Portman, and that they want to do that, but the
biggest flop.
They know, they saw the female. That's the thing. The female Ghostbusters movie is the shot heard around the world for SJW entertainment. Before that, people were like, well, maybe all the SJWs are the majority and they'll pay for this shit. No, they're not. The majority are the ones that actually want the shit that they grew up with, that they like.
This might be the misogynist in me, but I'm just going to say, the male chauvinist in me. But I'm just going to speak for the boys here on the record that it's not the problem with an all-female cast.
No.
An all-female cast is just indicative of them trying to gender swap something that boys do, a boys' activity. I'm not saying Ghostbusters wasn't for girls. I'm just saying back in the day when whoever came up with Ghostbusters, that was a boys' thing.
Girls hated Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters.
Exactly. That it was in hindsight, it was the new generation that looked back at nerds fond of old time movies and stuff that grew up, and some of them have to be female. When these movies are made and stuff, these ideas thenceforth are created. It's just they try to interject the opposite into it. It just doesn't work. It's not the fact that it's an all-female cast. It's the fact that there's a bunch of females doing something inherently male. And everybody in the world, if you're human, you feel it and you see it. You're just what the fuck is this? Ghostbusters is fake as fuck. No one's putting their shoulders up being this isn't believable. It's just the mixture of it all. It's dumb.
Indeed. And speaking of dumb, broadcaster Nickels, there's a disturbance in Starfleet. A new season is coming of a show that shouldn't have even got past the halfway point of season 1.
Something also pretty inherently male was created. Star Trek New Generation. Let me ask you, Two-Spirit Penguin, when you were growing up, were you bragging to the women about your fucking Next Generation fucking lore, dude? Let me ask
No,
you, were you laying down Picard info, like stats? Did you have like little trading cards that you wanted to like give him as presents?
Oh yeah, dude. I remember clearly in like the 4th grade, I went up to some girl that I had a crush on. I was like, "Did you see the season finale where Picard got turned into a Borg drone?" And she proceeded to kick me in the nuts and leave me crying on the pavement. And that was the end of that career of telling girls about Star Trek.
That's crazy because I maybe I'm just losing it. You know, I feel like I feel like it lately a lot, but I'm just gonna ask. When I watched that 1:09 of season 2 trailer, I could swear that 50 seconds of that wasn't Picard. Plus, I'd say it was mainly female characters besides 7 and 9 that we all care about deeply, but the rest of them, I mean, what the fuck were they doing occupying the trailer? This show's called Star Trek Picard. Like, why don't you just rename it something else if you don't want it to be about Star Trek Picard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the throwaway female android character from season 1 that you just prayed would disappear.
Exactly, and honestly, I thought they were ending that. I thought it was over. I thought the hentai tentacles were going to take her up. We could have another show about that later.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back with our preview of Star Trek Picard Season 2, Broadcaster Nickels. As if Season 1 wasn't amazing enough on its own merits, we get blessed by the god Alex Kurtzman with this brand new season of Picard to further destroy the legacy of Jean-Luc Picard.
Am I supposed to say something to that?
Well, it's time to save the future. Again?
I got a future for you. Q comes in. He bangs that Asian android. He says, "That was nice. Move along." And then he's just like, "Picard, you're at the end of the road not taken. The trial never ended. This is an alternate timeline." Wah, 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 wah. Like in Dude, Where's My Car, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like all the bad things go away. And then Picard wakes up and he's just like, "Oh my God, Riker, I had this terrible dream." And Riker's like, "It's okay, dude. I'm baking a pizza."
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And I just, it's one episode, just seals the envelope, and it just ends with an apology to the fan base. That's where.
Yeah.
There we go. Cut.
I remember at the end of season 1, like that last 3 episode arc, I was wondering, like, man, it's going to be really hard to follow up this season, not because of how good it was, but how discoherent and convoluted it was and how disconnected it was. How do you follow up a season like that? And their answer is to retcon it. Good decision, man. I mean, that is the best decision, because if there's any move to make with Star Trek Picard, it's to erase season 1 and pretend it didn't happen. And it seems like Q is going to do just that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
John Delancey, is that his name?
Yep, that is
John Delancey. Yeah, I don't know much about him past like new Star Trek New Generation or Next Generation, but because I don't, has he done a lot? I mean, I know he was what's her name's dad in Breaking Bad.
He was also the leader of the NID and
Oh,
SG-1.
right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And speaking of SG-1, dude, old Q, Old Q looks just like Ball from SG-1. Did you notice that? Like he has the same.
He has, well, let's be real here. All right. The guy that played Ball died recently. I'm not going to disrespect the man and say John Delancey's anywhere near as handsome as that man was. He is a legend, but let's be real here.
There's only one man who can say Jaffa Kree like Ball.
Man, let's not. Don't let that man roll over in his grave with saying John Delancey looks just like me.
So what do you think about 7 of 9? Apparently, she's no longer a Borg. What do you think about that?
I mean, not if Q has anything to say about it. Q's gonna step in and he's gonna be like, "You were hotter when you were a Borg," and before she can even say anything, he's just gonna snap his fingers and she's gonna have red lipstick on her. She's gonna be like, "Yep," and then John's just gonna be like, "Meow."
Man, if that happened, that would 100% redeem Star Trek Picard by itself. Just that one scene, as you just described it, I would just take back everything I ever said about the show. But you know that's not
podcast ever gets audited, I'm going to get taken down as sexist bigot. First of many labels is it's going to be sexist with a capital S.
Yeah, well, we'll all get the knife eventually, Broadcaster Nickels. But in the meantime, let's talk about this jumbled mess of a preview trailer that we watched. It was quite interesting. Like the first 15 seconds I liked, and the last 50 seconds I was not too big of a fan of. What about you?
I mean, the only thing that was remotely cool was Q.
Yeah.
And like I said before we started talking about the preview, it's 69 seconds.
69
nice, by the way.
seconds. Yeah.
Nice. I know that was John Delancey's decision. I know my boy's ideas when I see him. But anyway.
Yeah, when you see that executive producer credit with John Delancey's name stuck to it, you know where that came from.
All I gotta say is nice job. But I mean, 69 seconds, and we got maybe 12 seconds of Picard and 9 seconds of fucking Delancey. Well, and 9 seconds of visual Delancey. We got a lot more of audio Delancey, but Picard barely got any.
Yeah.
I think they showed 7 and 9 more than Picard.
It was either the same or a little bit more, yeah. Like, it was definitely... There was a nice little emphasis on good old Jerry Ryan at the end of that trailer.
And they're like showing scenes of like, what's her name? That chick that's supposed to be Picard's best friend, but was never in any of the shows.
Rafi, the worst character in sci-fi.
Yeah,
history.
Rafi.
Yes.
Yeah, Rafi,
the fucking snake grass smoker.
Yeah, the drug addict. Fucking, it's like showing her like limping in an alleyway with some other character we don't give a fuck about. Like, it's like, why even cut to that? Like, what? It's like, obviously they're in a bad place if Rafi's the one trying to get that person out of the situation. I mean, I don't want some fucking drug addict.
There's probably some woke YouTuber like doing a 55-minute deconstruction on Rafi's 6-second part of the trailer right as we speak.
Well, all the power to him, because, I watched a guy one time open up Photoshop and try to convince people that Death Stranding was Metal Gear Solid Zero. So.
The guy's a legend. I don't care if he was wrong. He's a legend.
I mean, the moment you start going, listen, guys, I have to explain, and you open Photoshop up in the background, you're like, all right, I'm in. What's going on
here? Man, when you talk about going deep down the rabbit hole, they should, like, if you put deep down the rabbit hole in a dictionary, a slide of that Photoshop part of that video should be the first caption below the term.
If the art of trolling ever actually gets recognized by academia, I feel like that will go down as one of like the most artful trolls of all time. They'll be like, this is advanced, this is beyond advanced level. This is like, S-class genjutsu shit right here. Okay.
So I think at the very least we can assume that the whole, Picard is now an android of Picard that has the exact same age as the old Picard that whole thing is going to be erased. And I think that we I feel like we subliminally knew it all along, because it's like, how does that work? It made no sense then. It makes no sense now. Going into season 2, you'd just be like, this is dumb.
I just happen to have this body that perfectly matches you. Would you like it, Picard?
Dude, if you could put yourself in a robot body, it would be Dolph Lundgren circa 1986 when he did Punisher / Rocky. That's who you would fucking be. You would not be 92-year-old Patrick Stewart. It is such a joke. It never.
I mean, season 1 in a nutshell is old man Picard dying, whole bunch of women running around trying to like take over the series, and then at the very end is a gotcha with, nope, it's robot body Picard, but he's still old. We'll explain that next time on Dragon Ball Z. It's like, that's pretty much what season 1 was.
Oh my god. It really was. And we also had like the Attack of the Clones fleet battle against the giant tentacle space flowers,
which were not explained at all. Like, they opened that rift up and they showed some tentacles and they were like, all right, what do you think? I mean, I wonder what that went like in the boardroom. Like when the guy had to draw the concept art, he's just like, you sure this is all you want from me? And they're like, that's good, that's enough. And they bring the stills into the boardroom and they're like, so we're thinking, right? Bam, 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 bam. What do you think? And they're just like, sign me up. Like I really want to be a fly on the wall for these boardrooms, because I feel what they're really going in like is they're actually trying to tank these shows.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're actively trying to tank these shows. The conversation is like not at all what we think it is. Like a bunch of apes going, derp, 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 we're going to make the best Star Trek in the world. No, it's like these sinister motherfuckers sitting around the table and they're like, we're going to destroy Star Trek and everyone that loves it.
Being a lowly like line producer on that show would be excellent, just for the fly in the wall aspect you're talking about. Like Loki, no one really knows who you are. You're kind of sitting in the background listening to their sinister conversations.
Just another male chauvinist cameraman. Don't find me.
But season 3 has also been filmed with season 2. Did you know that? They filmed both of them at the same time.
What?
Yep. So they saw season 1 and they're like, that's the ticket, kid. We'll buy 2 more seasons. I mean, goddamn, if SGU couldn't get a 3rd season, how the fuck did Picard get a 3rd season before the 2nd season even aired, man? What? There's no justice in this sci-fi universe, Broadcaster Nickels.
I think, Tim Dillon's taught me a lot this last year. A lot about fake business and money laundering.
Yeah.
And tax scams.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this shit is. They want it to be a deficit so they can sink fucking money into it and launder the shit. They're like, they look at the numbers, they're like, yeah, we can make a shitty Star Trek, but we can also fucking launder like $250 million. So it's like, all right, sign me up.
Like, somebody call Jonathan Frakes. We need to bake a pizza. Stat.
I'm telling you, I'm probably closer to the truth than people want to admit.
Well, the thing about this, too, is that John Delancey has confirmed that he is in both seasons 2 and 3 as a main character. That's
probably the best thing I've heard about this continuum in fucking its entirety.
I agree with you there. I think that is the most promising news we've heard, because if he wasn't a part of season 3, but was a part of season 2, and they filmed them both at the same time, I think it would send a signal that the season 2 story arc is filler nonsense bullshit. But because he is also a featured part of season 3, it gives it a little bit more gravity, I think. Like what we watch in season 2, I think we can take it a little bit more seriously, knowing that season 3 is sort of a continuation of season 2. They're sort of like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I was going to say it have to be if they're filming right next to each other.
Yeah. So as bad as season 1 was, I have hope that season 2 and season 3 might at least be mediocre instead of just like basement level drowning in your own shit.
I'll hold my breath.
Oh, we all will, Broadcaster Nickels. But, before we move on to our review of an excellent movie that is the opposite of season 1 of Star Trek Picard, like literally the opposite, I want to talk about an important topic. And that's elder abuse, Broadcaster Nickels. Elder abuse is a serious topic, and I think we take it too lightly in this society sometimes, Casey Kasem, the guy was like the master of radio for like 50 years, and then some random thought that he married in his 90s fucking forged a will and took him hostage and poisoned him to death while his family couldn't enter his house, Shit like that happens. Elder abuse is real, Broadcaster Nickels. And as you know...
People die for fair, Yeah. That's the way it works.
As you know, there are many prominent senior citizens being abused right now, and I think the top 2 is clear. Like, there are 2 very clear frontrunners for worst elder abuse in the year 2021, and I want you to tell me what you think is worse. The elder abuse
Biden
of Patrick Stewart
or Joe Biden?
President Joe Biden. Broadcaster Nickels, your thoughts?
Well, I would say Joe Biden.
The guy doesn't even know where he's at, man. You could tell.
Pretty sure Jon Stewart knows what the fuck he's doing. Joe Biden, even though I hate the son of a bitch, I'd have a beer with him. Like when he was younger, I'd have a beer with Joe Biden. That guy seems like a cool son of a bitch you want to have a beer with. Same with Hunter, man. Guy's fucking smoking crack, and dude, the guy's smoking crack, banging hookers, and talking about escorts with his fucking cousin on text messages. I mean, like, dude, guy sounds like a pretty rad dude to me.
Hunter Biden reminds me of every dude I hung out with in Rock Springs, Wyoming in high school.
I mean, the guy's doing fake business in Ukraine. He's banging hookers left and right.
Left and right.
And got with crack pipes on his lips, sleeping in hotel rooms, right? I mean, this guy's an animal. He could spice anybody's life up.
I don't know, man. I think there are some disturbing parallels between Joe Biden's public appearances and Patrick Stewart's scenes in Star Trek Picard. They both don't really seem like they know where they're at. They both definitely rely on cue cards to speak. And you feel for both of them like you should be chilling on a beach, dying happily and slowly.
Did you see that video of Joe Biden just like meandering into the fucking like cafe, and everyone's just like, "Hey, Joe Biden!" It's like a South Park episode. They're like, "Hey, Joe Biden!" They're all clapping for him, and he's just like, he just turns around. He's like, "I don't want to leave." This is like, holy shit! What the fuck is going on?
Oh, dude, there are like 35 amazing clips of Joe Biden just like absolutely not knowing where he is, what's going on, what yesterday is, what tomorrow is. It's just crazy, dude.
All of G7 was like a South Park episode.
It really was.
It was funny as fuck.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, the movie we're about to review,
Downfall of America.
It's not very funny, but it definitely inserts some testosterone into the estrogen-filled laps of the modern man. Are you ready to get to our review of Nobody?
No. See what I did there?
And we're back with our review of Ilya Naishuller and Derek Kolstad's Nobody. And the creators of this movie describe it as the following. A bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becomes the target of a vengeful drug lord. Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, this is written by the same guy who made the original John Wick. That being said, How, just right off the bat, how do you compare this movie to the original John Wick? Do you find it less favorable, about the same, or more favorable?
You think Rufus Sewell or Kiefer Sutherland got with Jennifer Connelly in Dark City? Which one do you think? I'm thinking Kiefer.
Definitely Kiefer.
Yeah, Kiefer laid it down.
Yeah, Kiefer was like the cinematic movie version of the White Ranger from Power Rangers.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel that.
He had the same vibe going on from that guy. Was this like Jason
but anyway.
Franks or whatever his name was?
Anyways. It really was like a fucking John Wick copycat in the beginning. It quickly turned into a Home Alone, adult Home Alone, though. He's fucking putting that shotgun shell on the rat trap against the wall. I'm like, what is this, fucking Home Alone?
That's one of the many reasons I love that movie, is because of the Home Alone vibes towards the end. Like, it was totally unexpected, too. You're just, like, watching this movie, and you're like, well, this is a pretty cool, like, John Wick-ish action movie. Then it goes all into, like, Home Alone vibes, and you're just like, damn, dude, watching a fucking, like, machine press a grenade down in front of some dude's face. You got, dude, that final kill at the very end of the movie, where he gets the riot shield and he puts a claymore on it and just starts charging him.
That was the most Call of Duty shit I've seen in a movie. When I saw that, I was like, I was already getting enraged by how I felt about Call of Duty. I was like, I fucking hate Call of Duty. It has nothing to do with this movie. I saw it, I was like, fucking Call of Duty.
Fucking Call of Duty. Was that not one of the most original action movie executions of all time, though? Like, think of all the action movies you've seen in your life, and I know you've seen a lot just like me. How many approach the originality of that scene with him putting that claymore on that riot shield and charging like that?
I mean, it's definitely creative, but I mean, come on. Man.
Can you think of just name a couple? Just name one that you think is more unique off the top of your head.
Dude, are you kidding me? Lethal Weapon 3, bro.
Lethal Weapon 3.
Rush Hour 2.
Rush Hour 2? What? Are you just naming action movies?
No, dude. Remember the blonde Eminem Asian villain who had like the screwdriver detonator?
Yeah.
You don't remember that kill?
No, refresh my memory.
He gets it like stabbed in his chest, and then fucking Jet Li just fucking roundhouse kicks him off the fucking skyscraper, and that's about it. But it's pretty cool.
Okay, I remember that. That's cool, but I don't think that's more unique than the fucking riot shield claymore charge.
I mean, I hate Call of Duty, so I'm not gonna really. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So. I think that this version of John Wick called Nobody is a little bit more realistic and a little less comic booky. What do you think about that? Because I love John Wick, the original John Wick especially, but it felt like a comic book. Like it was sort of like bombastic and sort of like really loose plot points and kind of just excuses for really badass action scenes, which, by the way, I'm totally cool with. But this movie felt like they really were trying to make it more grounded in reality and to like kind of explain a little bit deeper why this shit is happening.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I feel like they're both comic. Like John Wick and Nobody is definitely comic book. It's just they're two different calibers of how you want to take the genre. You know, like John Wick's more of like the elegant, more sophisticated, you know, chess, not checkers type of guy. And, what's his name? And Nobody, Hutch, yeah. Hutch is like, kind of just like that, more like real man's take on that story, I guess, because through and through, the movie's a fucking John Wick copycat. I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I mean, that's clearly where they got their idea from, and honestly, I think it's the main.
You can't call it a copycat though; it's the same guy. Like he's copying himself.
Oh, it's the same guy?
Yeah.
What? I did not know that.
Oh, I've told you that like 5 times, man. You just fucking ignored me 5 times about that. Yeah, dude, it's the same guy, Derek Kolstad.
Well, that that's kind of makes it worse in a way, because
so?
then for the guy, for the director,
I think it's like I am an indie game developer, and I have improved my games 1,000 times as I have developed them. So like when I see what he did with this version of John Wick called Nobody, it's almost a little bit like being a game developer and kind of doing a revision of a first draft of a game, is what it felt like to me.
Sure, that'd be something if it like was actually from the get-go, the John Wick IP was multiple people and each movie was a new assassin type of thing, and he's slowly refining, kind of like James Bond over the years. That would be an argument. But this is a guy that had a successful run of movies and now moves on to a new iteration of the same story.
Well, I think there's a little bit of bad blood because Derek Kolstad basically invented John Wick, and after the second movie, they sort of kicked him off. Like, they let him sort of stay for the third movie, but then for the fourth movie, they totally kicked him off. And he basically signed a contract where that was okay. Like, they could get rid of him if he wanted, and they own John Wick. Even though he invented it, they own it. Sort of like how Taylor Swift made all these songs that are like $1 billion songs, but like some weirdo dude who was fucking her 10 years ago actually owns the rights because she signed a bad contract. I think it's sort of like that with Derek Kolstad. And so I think that Nobody is actually literally him saying, okay, you own John Wick, but I'm going to take my writing skills and I'm going to improve upon John Wick and I'm going to make this new version.
I mean, that's cool and all. But I mean, from like just a standalone movie perspective, if like looking back on the movie, I think it's its main weakness because like it's a great cast, it's great acting. And I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the only thing you can really peer at it and be like, what would bring this movie down is that it's trying to be John Wick.
It's not trying to be John Wick. It's the guy who made John Wick making a better version of it.
That doesn't matter, though. People don't see it like that. People, they don't care if it's like, oh, it's the guy that did John Wick, so it's just another John Wick. People, that's not an excuse to people. It's just like, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's not John Wick, but it is. It makes people come up with ideas, and it makes people think about the movie differently. Like, from the get-go, people are like, oh, this is John Wick. And I guarantee you that thought passes through people's head way before they ever find out it's the guy that actually did John Wick. So I think in that regards, it's a negative.
Well, I'll tell you what a negative is, and it's the hutch cucking at the beginning of the movie. Is that not like
that's up the character though?
It's a pure indictment on like the modern man of 2021.
Oh, it is. It totally is.
Like that whole home invasion scene at the beginning of the movie. You just look at it, just like totally independent from the rest of the movie. Just look at that scene just by itself as its own entity. You're like, oh, this is basically a documentary about 99% of modern men right now. Someone invades their house, tries to kill their kids, steal their shit, and they're just like, hey, I'm scared, I'll go. Oh, shit.
I loved it when the cop was just like, I mean, it was my family, I was dying when he said that. It's like right in front of his wife. Oh, fuck yeah. I don't know. 5.9, some 60 seconds. I'm about to find the fuck out.
Dude, the guy's like, wish he picked my house. I could use some exercise. He does some shadow boxing at him. Dude, that was great, man.
That was pretty funny.
I just enjoyed the construction of the film in general. Like, it was very methodically laid out, like starting with that whole suburban dad montage, where at the beginning of the movie it shows like this defeated, depressed dad who's just like depressed with his life, and it's like Monday shows him missing the garbage and getting pissed and like sitting at the bus stop and being pissed and all this shit. And then the home invasion happens. And then we get this whole little mini arc of him like slowly busting out of his shell, becoming the old version of himself when he worked for the spooks. And then you get a second version of the suburban dad montage after he took out the guys on the bus. And he's all psyched, remember? Like, it's like the same exact thing, but instead of being depressed, he's just like Rocky Balboa, like fucking jogging up the stairs and fucking just like doing fucking pull-ups at the bus station and shit. I love that.
That was probably the weirdest part of the movie, is him keep doing pull-ups at his wife's fucking advertisement. I was just like, all right, dude, I'm expecting like a scene where she gets caught banging the next door neighbor or something to set up like this quarrel or something like that, and they just moved on.
I'm not gonna lie.
They never explained the pillows between them either. That was the other thing. There's just like, all right, things are bad to the point where she's fucking straight up has a pillow wall on the bed. You can explain that?
Well, I think the intro with the home invasion explains that. He was a cuck. He was cucking himself.
Yeah,
and
but
he
like
busted out of his cuck shell.
Pillow walls?
Well, dude, right
like,
after he busts out of the cuck shell, he like goes on. Remember, he goes on a speech with her. He's like, you know, we haven't kissed in a week, and we haven't fucked in a month, and we haven't made love in a year. I'm ready to change that, bitch. And then he just walks away all cool.
I mean, I get all that, right? But, like, I get all that. But like a pillow wall is something like purposeful, you know, that's for the other person to see, like punishment.
Yeah, it's like he had a threesome with Mary Kate and Ashley
you know,
Olsen.
I didn't get it. And then she's just like, wow, I just watched my husband come home with a black eye. I think I want to fuck him tonight. Take the pillow off the bed. It's like, what?
I like that. I don't know. I like that shit. I'm good with that. So I have no complaints about that. But I feel like this movie is just a return to form for action movies in general. Think about the one-liners in this movie. They feel straight out of the 80s. You already talked about 0 to 60 in I'm about to find the fuck out. Great one-liner. Straight out of the 80s. Then there's my favorite one-liner of the entire movie. Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker. Like, there are some amazing one-liners in this fucking movie, man.
I also like how the people that ended up being in the home invasion, or the criminals in the home invasion, were nobodies in the end. He just goes there, he fucking pistol whips the dude in the jaw, breaks a few teeth. He's like, watch, give me the fucking bracelet. And then he looks, fucking got like a cancer patient kid, and he's just like, fuck, man. He gets out of there, and that's it.
He starts punching the wall, right? As he comes. That was my favorite part. It reminded me of like Batman. Like, he's just, I just start punching the wall.
Fuck, man, I fucked up, man. Fuck, man.
But also,
you know, the second most unbelievable thing in that show was the fact that the prominent use of the Heckler & Koch MP7.
Oh,
that was the most. That gun is probably like a blue Pikachu, dog. Like it doesn't exist. Yeah, it don't exist, bro. And like everybody had one in that movie, including fucking Bob Odenkirk. I just was like, no fucking way, dude. Gun's like $4,000 easy if you can find one.
What you think about the great collection of actors in this movie, though? Like, just supporting actors.
Like, I don't know how they got Christopher Lloyd to come out of the fucking woodwork.
Not only did he come out of the woodwork, I think this is one of my favorite Christopher Lloyd performances of all time, dude. Like, he was fucking amazing in this movie.
Yeah, he's just like Hobo with a Shotgun Part 2, pretty much.
Dude, the facial acting he did in this movie is bar none, some of like the most badass facial acting since Rick Grimes' early Walking Dead. Remember early Walking Dead, the face acting that Rick Grimes did?
That's what made the first seasons was fucking the slow slip into hell of Rick Grimes, dude.
Christopher Lloyd really pulled that energy out. Like that fucking scene where he has a double barrel shotgun underneath his blanket and he just looks at him. He acts like he's asleep and tired, and he opens his eyes and smiles like fucking Willy Wonka at the chocolate factory and blows their goddamn heads off. Like, I'm just like, damn, dude.
I still think Rick Grimes walking around the fucking forest of the compound with the fucking rotary phone on his holster talking to his dead wife is like one of the coolest things comics has ever done. People ask me about really cool comics. I'm like, that. Yeah. That's some eye shaking shit right there.
Oh, yeah. Also, Michael Ironside making a Moonlight performance.
Big boy Ironside, yeah. What we call him.
He's been eating good, man. He goes to the Red Lobster every night, man.
He's been discussing business at Red Lobster quite a bit.
It's weird, like if you like go back and just like watch him in like fucking Total Recall or even like
what about the famous Jet Jackson?
It's crazy looking back at him. He has ballooned up like a fucking blimp, man. I hope he's in good health. I think he's just eating good, and that's good for him. And fuck yeah, I do the same thing and go for it. I just hope.
You ever think he's like at Red Lobster and he's just like cracking lobster tails and just fucking the juices are just flying like 6 feet and they're hitting like the waitress's eye and she's like, and like Ironside like hears that and he's like, you know what to do, and just brings in more troughs of butter, you know.
Come on, you apes! Do you want to live forever? Yeah. I like how they went out of their way to show that Hutch is actually a bad guy in this movie. In John Wick, it's very clear that, like, oh, he's like an anti-hero. Like, he's like on the plus side of an anti-hero. Like, he's really a good guy, but he just does bad things sometimes. I feel like with this movie, they made it a point to say, no. Hutch is a bad man. And I think that no other scene proves that more than the bus scene towards the beginning of the movie. Because if you recall, Broadcaster Nickels, he doesn't wait for them to start shit. He literally is in that bus sitting down. They come in. They've done nothing. They haven't.
Oh no,
they haven't harassed anyone. They haven't punched anyone. They haven't started a fight.
No, they hit the book down from the dude in the beginning, and then when he tried doing something, they all like intimidated, and he walked out of the bus, and the only other person in the bus was the chick, and they all surrounded her and started like saying shit to her. So he the whole reason he did that was because the impression is that if he didn't, they were gonna rape her.
What?
Yeah, that was what that whole scene was about.
I'm not. Well, I mean, there's a lot of implied action with gangsters getting on the bus with one hot chick sitting in a thing by herself.
She even like
that.
But she even gets up in the scene and runs away, and before she leaves the bus, she says thank you, and like insinuating the whole point of the fight was to save her.
Right, but they haven't done anything yet. The only thing they've done is they stepped on the book.
You'd be like, what do you? Book. How much did they pay you to defend? What?
Okay, listen.
I think you missed the scene, dude. When they crash the car, they go in. Hold on a second. They go on. They start banging on the windows, and they look at her, and they put their hands together. They're like, "Please talk to me, please." And like the whole point of the scene was like him just being like, "Please open that door," because opening the door puts the girl in danger. I was like, that's what I picked up almost immediately.
No. That's true. And you can just tell that they're bad people and all that. I'm not disagreeing with you there. But what I'm saying is that most of the time, good guys wait for the bad guy to throw the first punch.
But the good guy did not. The girl, though.
What?
They beeline it to the girl. You don't remember. He gets up and he walks through them surrounding the girl. And he makes eye contact with the girl.
But they haven't done anything yet, is my point. Like, they haven't, like,
Yeah,
touched
what are you, a
her. They
lawyer?
haven't slapped her.
You
they
know
haven't even
damn
said
well what's
anything
about
to
to
her.
happen, dog. What are you
Okay.
doing, playing lawyer for him?
No, what I'm telling you is that in terms of cinema, good guys usually wait for the bad guys to make the first move. The bad guys did not make the first move in this. This was a preemptive strike by Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's a preemptive strike, no doubt.
That is not what good guys usually do.
But what was he doing a preemptive strike for, though? You see, you saying that it was a preemptive strike
because he couldn't murk the Mexicans, man. He wanted to murk the Mexicans that robbed him, and he couldn't do it.
Your choice of words, Daniel, preemptive. That's not preemptive for the Mexicans. It's preemptive strike on the Russians about to do what? My point.
But he didn't know what they were gonna do. Is my point?
Yeah,
like,
you're playing lawyer for some reason.
You can have listen. You can have a bunch of drunk Russian kids on a bus surrounding a hot female. Sure. It doesn't look good, but they didn't do anything yet. Like, they didn't. It's not like they're like, "Hey, baby, get over here," and like they tried to grab her or something. They didn't do anything yet.
Well, they didn't grab her, but they were saying that in Russian. No doubt. I mean, that is literally what they were saying to her.
They were saying that in Russian.
I'm
gonna rape you, bitch, in Russian. I missed that subtitle.
But no, they were saying things like, "Hey, baby, get over here, talk to me, baby." That's exactly what they were saying to her.
All right. Well, my point is that Bob Odenkirk Hutch is a little bit more Vegeta than he is Goku. That's my point.
I mean, yeah, I think he just was a good guy that wanted to do some bad things, and he took the opportunity.
Exactly.
It's like Minority Report, but guaranteed crime. You know, it's like he saw the writing. He's like, no doubt this chick's about to get raped, so I'm gonna beat some Russians up, right? That makes me a good guy, right? Even though I know I'm doing something really bad because I'm about to pipe this dude in the neck.
Yeah.
So
I'm a good guy, right? As he stabs the person in the Adam's apple and inserts a straw so he can breathe. Yes. What'd you think about the soundtrack?
Oh, that was the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Wasn't it refreshing? There was no like gangster rap or R&B or just like some like bullshit music that doesn't fit. It's all like old school sort of like Johnny Cash and like Frank Sinatra and like these like old school type of. I love that.
Yeah, they had Nat King Cole, and
yep.
It was pretty good.
It was all old school music. It was nothing. I don't think there was a single song on this soundtrack that came out after 1970. It was like all old as fuck music, but good.
I think they had Stevie Nicks.
There was one Stevie Nicks. So that was like 70s. So yeah 70s is probably the latest it went. But
but every song, it was like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 level.
It was
talent. It might have not been as strong of a lineup, but as far as like the placement goes, like the money they paid per song was used perfectly. Like
very
it was
well placed tracks. I agree with you there.
You know, it's also the funny thing is about this movie. I think my main takeaway is the six. I can't hit this home more as far as the main takeaway from this movie is the range of Bob Odenkirk. This movie kind of like changed my skewed perception of what Bob Odenkirk could be, especially because my main Bob Odenkirk is from like Adult Swim days, you know, with like what's his name? The guy that did I always forget his name.
Wait, Bob Odenkirk was on Adult Swim? Which show?
Yeah, he was friends with the guys that did Tim and Eric.
Oh, yes, you're right. I remember that. He was.
He also I think he produced Tim and Eric.
He might
or something like that. I forget. I always get confused because I think I have to look this up because I'm getting confused now. But the guy that starred in Kung Fu Hustle, what was it? What was the old kind of like early 2000s? It was a white dude, and they took an old school Chinese movie kung fu movie, and they dubbed over it with a white dude. Remember that? They did 2 of them. It was like famous for a while. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't Kung Fu Hustle. It wasn't.
You're about the one with Jet Li?
No, these are comedies.
Wait. Comedies?
Yeah, they literally took.
You're not talking about Beverly Hills Ninja, are you?
No, dude, you're way off. They took an old school like kung fu movie, and they literally copy and pasted an actual present day actor. I forget his name. Over in the movie, and they dubbed it, and like they made a whole other. It actually made it to the big screen. It's like Kung Fu, not Kung Fury, Kung Fu Panda. That's an animation, isn't it?
Kung Fu Panda. Yeah. All right, Broadcaster Nickels, you've had a little too much gin and juice.
No, it's a real movie. But anyways, the guy. What I'm getting to is the actor in that movie. His last name is Odenkirk. And now I'm starting to think if they're brothers or not, because the guy that produced Tim and Eric and some other Adult Swim shows, if you remember back in the day, at the end of a lot of those shows, they'd have a dude in a pink hat and some shorts, and he was like walking through his house, and he would say, he like did a really weird like thank you very much type of thing or something like that. I forget what it was, but that's how all the shows ended. And he was the producer. And I remember like finding out as I was a kid, like that was the guy from that Kung Fu movie. And I was like, oh shit. And now that I'm talking about Bob Odenkirk, I'm like, are they brothers? They have Odenkirk's is a unique name.
Yeah, it is a unique name. I don't know anything about that, but what I do know is that Bob Odenkirk is probably the least likely badass action star of all time. Like, think about like my experience with Bob Odenkirk was Mr. Show, which is an HBO sketch comedy show from the early 90s. That's when I first found out about Bob Odenkirk, and everything from there all the way up till Nobody was comedy. I never saw him do anything but comedic roles the entire time from there all the way up to Nobody. Then Nobody shows up. I'm like, I go into this movie with super low expectations. I'm like, Bob Odenkirk as a fucking Bruce Willis badass action star? I don't think so. I watched this movie. I'm like, God damn, he may have just catapulted to the #1 action star of this era. Mainly because of a weak pool. Like, let's be honest, there aren't a lot of good action stars right now. So it's not like if it were the 80s, he wouldn't be #1. But in 2020s, I don't know, man. Like, he's up there with John Wick. Like, he's up there with Keanu Reeves. Can you think about current action stars? After watching Nobody, who can you put above him?
Well, I mean, he's not like you just kind of illustrated. He's not really competing.
Not against a good
lot of people.
Yeah, it's a weak pool.
It's I just Kung Pao. That's the name of the movie. Enter the Fist. Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Oh, I remember that movie. That movie was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and it's dubbing over Enter the Dragon, which is an old film.
Yeah,
I think. But anyways, he's also the Steve Odenkirk guy. He's also the guy who did Thumb Wars, which I forgot. Just so you know,
are they actually related? That's
I'm about to look it up because it's really fucking killing me.
Because now that you bring the Thumb Wars connection in, I almost feel a little Bob Odenkirk in Thumb Wars, like spiritually. Now that you say that, so I'm wondering if they're related.
Yeah, they're not related.
No, they are in spirit and in name.
End of that story.
But the end of that bus scene, where he cuts a hole in that guy's throat and sticks a straw in so he can breathe, was that not like the most brutal as fuck action movie scene you've seen since First Blood? Really think about how brutal that was.
Dude, what was that movie where Michael J. White threw that pipe through that dude's chest on top of the ceiling, on the top of the skyscraper? What was that? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I can't remember the movie exactly, but I
that was more hardcore.
Vaguely what you're talking about.
That was more hardcore. I always think about that for action movies. I was like, Michael J. White threw a pipe through this dude's chest one time, and it actually showed the meat.
It showed the meat.
So,
yeah,
I can't. Yeah.
Hey, Michael J. White's my boy, man. Like, I like that guy. I like every single movie he's ever been in. I like him as an actor in every movie he's in. I wish he was in more shit.
Come on, bro. Where's it at, bro? Come on, bring it to the table.
What do you think about the villain in this movie? Because it's a no-namer. Like, it's some guy that's never really acted in American movies before. I guess he was a Russian actor at some point, but he's not really an active Russian actor. So, like, he is literally just this absolute no-name. I thought he kicked it out of the park with his performance.
I thought he was lame.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
He wasn't believable to me. Like, when he cuts that dude's throat with the fucking glass.
I love that.
I'm just like, all right, first of all, let's break down the physics here real quick. You slammed that glass on the table and didn't get cut, but supposedly it's strong enough to tear fucking Hercules' throat open? Okay. Got it.
Dude.
The other thing was just like he seemed more worried about fucking dancing on the stage.
That was my favorite part. Oh, dude. Okay, this is why we disagree on this, I think. My favorite part of him was the stage dancing, singing shit, dude. Like, it was like an Austin Powers movie, man. Like, he just enter the club, like, start dancing with the bitches, just casually walk up on stage and start...
Okay. The first part was pretty good. The Disco Inferno entrance was pretty good.
That was awesome.
Like, don't get me wrong, guy was feeling it. But
yeah,
this wasn't one of those villains I could get vested in, where I was just like, okay, well, that and mainly it was like, it was probably the most John Wick part of the movie. Him being in trouble with Russians and this Russian mobster, like, who's supposed to be intimidating, and he was. Let's be real here. He was not Peter Stormare, okay? Or it wasn't Peter Stormare, was it?
No,
he was in one of them, but wasn't he? He was in the second one.
Yeah,
he was like the cousin of the main dude from the first one.
Yeah,
right, something like that. Yeah, because he was like, "You killed my nephews" or whatever. Anyways, blah blah blah. But you know who I'm talking about. The guy from the original one, I feel like, was the real Russian mobster, and this guy was literally just trying to be him.
See, I that's where I disagree with you. I think that this is like the perfect version of the John Wick original.
No way, dude. What?
Are you kidding me? The way he got up on stage and started doing his little fucking dance and starts singing, and then
the guy
walks
wears
off
flamboyant suits and he dances on the stage, and he's better than John Wick's villain now. What the fuck are we talking about here?
That was super villain level shit, man. That was like fucking Riddler level shit, man. I swear to God, I love that part about him. If it weren't for that part, I would agree with you.
Listen, bro, the Riddler, Jim Carrey hasn't been the Riddler since the 90s, all right? You need to get over it.
How do you not know I'm talking about the Gotham version?
Pop-up books are out.
There was a Riddler in Gotham, the TV series, and if you watched it, you would know that, Broadcaster Nickels.
Wasn't he like a homo for Penguin or something?
That is not politically correct, Broadcaster Nickels. How dare you? How dare you?
I'm taking it back.
We'll circle back to that one. I thought that the storyline, while simple, just like the original John Wick, was really well constructed, with like each act being very distinct. Like Act 1 versus Act 2 versus Act 3 were very distinct from each other, which I like. I like that in a movie. And then on top of that, I feel like they went a lot deeper. Like, with John Wick, you didn't really figure out what's up with John Wick till, like, the end of John Wick 2. In this movie, I feel like you know as much as you knew at the end of John Wick 3 at the end of Nobody 1. I feel like they just kind of compacted all of the sort of knowledge you gain about the character into one movie.
All right. I don't know what movie you saw, but at the end, Bob Odenkirk won. His family was alive. RZA took the bullet for him in the shoulder. He got a new house. Fucking
Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah, fucking what's her name? Jane. What's her name? What's that actress's name? God, she was. It's sad because she's just starting to, and I apologize for saying this, but she's just starting to show her age, and I'm just like,
oh yeah, she was
human life
Gone
is
Girl.
human life is such a tragedy because you were just a bombshell. Like you're just getting to that age, though. I get it. Like it happens to everybody. Don't get me wrong.
In like 2012.
She was under the Tuscan Sun too, right? Wasn't she Superman's mom as well? And like,
maybe I'm not sure about that one.
Is she just a lookalike? I thought she was what's her name from Under. Mom loved. What was her name? Fucking Under the Tuscan Sun is like one of her biggest.
No, I think you're misconstruing her with someone else.
Oh, okay.
She was in like that movie that was, that Netflix movie that just came out where she like elder abuses people and steals their property and then like puts them in an old folks home and like prevents them from talking to their family. There was a movie about that very recently on Netflix. She's the star of.
Oh yeah. Her name's Connie Nielsen. Yeah, she's not the person I thought.
Yeah.
Oh wait a minute. No, she is in the DC films, but she's not Martha. She's not Superman's mom. She's Wonder Woman's mom. She's like the head Amazonian. I forgot.
Yeah, I didn't even watch the original. I didn't watch any Wonder Woman movie. I've never watched.
Oh, dude, the first Wonder Woman's fire, dude.
I heard it was
takes
good.
on Hades. It's good. It's good shit.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Wonder Woman. At least
I'm
playing her right now.
You sounded so fucking sarcastic. Believe me, I'm a huge fan. I got the posters, the books.
I think Gal Gadot is one of the most attractive
Mossad
women
agent
alive, and also a Mossad agent. But yeah,
no doubt.
Gal Gadot is like one of those women. When you look at her, you're like,
she was genetically modified in a Mossad lab.
Yeah, yeah. Like you're just like, God fucking damn, dude. When you look at that bitch, but I have not actually seen a Wonder Woman movie. I did enjoy her in Batman versus Superman. That was like one of the better parts. I thought was.
Yeah, you like your women on the back end. I get it. You don't like them on the front stage. You like them very minimal, a little less talking, a little bit more doing. Right?
Yes.
I get it.
Yes. Yeah. Just like the scene when the Russian gangsters invade Hutch's house. And
we can, as like a cultural pivot, can we go from Russians to Chinese people finally?
You know what? If this movie was bold enough, the gangsters would have been Chinese, but they didn't want to go there.
That's how you know everyone gets a little money from China, dude, because it's just like everyone's still fighting Russians like it's the fucking 60s. And like, it's like present day, China's a pretty big fucking threat, guys.
Yeah. But when those evil Russians invaded Hutch's house and he just like owned them like little bitches and then took their like dying corpses down to his basement and put on like fucking Lionel Richie or whatever on his fucking record player.
Let's dive into this though a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's do a thought experiment here.
Okay. Here we go.
Replace the Russians with Chinese gangsters though. Like Bob Odenkirk would like be kicking into the door into like a Bitcoin farm. Like what exactly would be going on? You just see
like 8,000 RTX 3080s on the wall.
Yeah, they'd be like yelling in Mandarin, and then he wouldn't respond. They'd be like, "Please do not damage the RTX 3080s." And he's just you know that because like I get it. Like now I'm going through it in my head, and I want to see Chinese. I want to see a more realistic take on like gangsters, the present day threat, But at the same time, Chinese people just don't make good gangsters. They don't have the muscle. They don't got the look. They're sinister. Don't get me wrong. They got sinister parts of their culture, but it's just for Hollywood's sakes. It just doesn't make a good villain.
They're mentally sinister, not physically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but like, it's just like the physical apparition of like Hollywood Chinese gangsters would be like a Bitcoin farm, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything more real than breaking up a Bitcoin operation.
I think we're still 10 years away, probably a good decade away from a movie like what you're talking about that'll delve into such things. But I like where your head's at. But going back to what I loved about this scene, it wasn't even the part with them in the basement dying and him just like explaining like, hey, you made the wrong choice. You're a bunch of fucking retards. You came into the fucking God's house and you got dealt with thunder. Now listen to Aretha Franklin as you burn in an inferno. You know, like that whole thing was cool. But the part I loved the most is when he walked out of the house, just took a hard left, looked over and saw that Dodge Challenger. He punches, dude, that punch into the window is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, it's What a Wonderful World.
Nat
King Cole playing.
He just punches into the window and he repeats the one-liner from earlier in the movie, 0 to 60 in, I'm about to find the fuck out. That was beautiful. What a great crescendo.
What am I thinking? That's not Nat King Cole. Who is that? That's oh man, it was Louis Armstrong. It's Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
What? Jesus Christ.
But from there we go pretty quick into the end of this movie. And the end of this movie quickly becomes Home Alone for adults. And I loved it. I loved every second of it, Broadcaster Nickels. When the only thing missing was like the like little Christmas music. Like remember in Home Alone when he started setting up all the traps, like they had that like sinister Christmas music playing in the background, like do 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 do, like almost like Kefka's theme.
Oh, for sure. Dude, Dancing Mad was definitely going on in the background. I gotta say though, the shotgun shell mousetrap, that is actually like, at the end of the day, I'm surprised they showed that on the big screen because that's actually very viable and very easy to make.
Yep.
And that could teach a lot of people some shit they probably shouldn't be up to. But that's like a super, like, if you had to do some real Home Alone shit, that's probably one of the most easiest things you could do if you had shot shells and mousetraps on hand.
Yeah. And it was kind of a side story in this movie that Bob Odenkirk's character, Hutch, wanted to buy the family business from his wife's dad, Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
And he's all like, I want to sell it, but I want to sell it to someone better than you. So how about you go into your corner, bitch, and hide? And I love how he's like, you know what, bitch? I'm going to take over your business anyway. I'm going to set a Home Alone trap in every single corner of this business. He goes into the club while our villain is doing one of his Austin Powers dances on stage. He's just sitting there eating his steak while he watches them do it. He comes down, thinks, oh, I got Bob Odenkirk just laid out. I got him nailed. I have 8 gangsters surrounding him. And Bob Odenkirk just sits there and just like, doesn't give a fuck. Opens his plate, shows a C4 tied with a ring on his finger.
That's another COD move.
I loved that scene so much. Him just, the balls of it, and him just being like, oh yeah, dude, your $8 trillion business with the black market of the world with like the black nobility of Africa, that move. I burned it all and they're going to come rape your family. But if you want, we can just call it a truce right now. He walks out of the building. And these fuckers let him walk out. They don't, like, I get it at first when the boss is right next to the Claymore mine. I get why you're not doing anything then. But, like, as he's walking out of the building, you'd think one of his guys would just put a pistol up to his head and hit him. Like, they just let him walk out, dude.
Well, dude, at the table, too, all they'd have to do is put a bullet in his head and grab his hand while they're doing it. Like, someone just put a bullet in that guy's head, grab his hand, don't let him fall back, and that fucking whole situation would have been diffused.
I get that is a possibility.
The Claymore on the table was not that big of a threat.
But here's the thing. We know, like, the storyline of this character. Like, all these guys know how dangerous this guy is, so they're not going to take that chance. So I don't blame them for that part. I don't blame him.
They should have gunned him down when he left the double doors out.
Exactly. Like, dude, what is he going to do? Blow himself up? Like, it's really
weird.
He was
pointed towards the street.
Yeah.
Like, there's been no, like, blowback at all.
Yeah. That was a, like, really weird part of the movie. But this leads to the best part of the movie, which is the end, which he races in the stolen Challenger to his father-in-law's business, which he has booby-trapped as a Home Alone style trap
That's my
house.
favorite part, though, when he buys the place from him, and the son, like, he's like, "Whoa, I'm not. Hold on a second." And he punches him in the stomach, and then he's like, "Just breathe." And then he's just like, "What am I gonna do?" And he's like, "I don't give a fuck."
I don't give a fuck.
And that was like my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then this final scene is amazing. So we have like, there's a guy who's been talking to Hutch on like a transistor radio the entire time that you've never seen.
That we all knew was RZA the whole time, because no one else sounds like RZA. Like at the very beginning of the movie, I was like, "Is that RZA? That's RZA."
I like how his first scene in the movie is him with a sniper rifle taking bitches out. He runs
like fucking the game.
Like the game. Yeah. He goes in, this whole fucking trap is set. Then you see Christopher Lloyd, 98-year-old Christopher Lloyd in there with his fucking shotgun, like, "All right, bitch, I've been bored as fuck. Let's do this." This is one of the greatest action scenes ever, at least in the last recent memory. This whole sequence of them just using these traps against these Russian gangsters over and over. Christopher Lloyd's facial acting, as we've already discussed, is fucking on point. Like the smiles that Christopher Lloyd makes in this movie are priceless. They're priceless.
RZA's trap was the most Home Alone shit, though. He just like pushes that guy through the door, and he gets into like a barbed wire like tie down trap, and he's just like, "Oh no, I'm trapped." And he like pulls the string that's connected to this fucking like hydraulic pulley out the fucking window or something. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what happened in that scene, but it was some Home Alone shit.
It was. What a great way to end a movie. And it's so unexpected too. Like, that's the thing that I think sets us apart from John Wick, is John Wick was really amazing movie, but it was very congruent from beginning to end. Like, it didn't have any like weird twists of the type of movie it was. This movie, you didn't see Home Alone coming a mile away. Then all of a sudden it becomes Home Alone. Like, it's really awesome if you think about it.
Well, the Home Alone part is actually the only John Wick part. That's the only part they actually show like real combat other than the bus scene. Everything else is really fast paced. Like, it gets pushed by really fast. And it's not really like slow and drawn out like a John Wick fight is. Now they do that in the movie with like the bus scene and then at the very end. But like everything, like some parts of the movie, I was really surprised how fast they were going by it. I was like, wow, they're trying to squeeze this shit in.
Yeah. Well, I think it worked. I think that squeezing so much into this movie actually helped it. Because think about how boring this movie would have been if they lingered on the beginning. Like the whole suburban house dad depressed part. Like, think about, what if they made half the movie that instead of just like a quarter?
Yeah.
It would have sucked.
Dude, just imagine the beginning when they're going through the cycle of him missing the trash and all that. Imagine if they just did that cycle of a week actually drawn out one time. It would have made the movie 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
they definitely knew the weaknesses of the film.
They did. But the strong point was the final act was so strong. And
I haven't finished
with the part you hate with him. I love it too, because like they're both, all three of them are behind a barricade, and like the villain is back there with an advantage supposedly, and everyone's like worried, and then he just starts taping some shit, and Christopher Lloyd and fucking RZA's like, "What the fuck you doing, man? What's going on?" Like, they're all like, and fucking Bob Odenkirk's like, "Don't worry about it, son. I got this.
All gonna die someday, right?" That is not what you tell people.
And him for just like jump up and just charge this motherfucker with that claymore, and like the way the cinematography of it, and they show the explosion going into the Russian gangster's face, and then they show like the carnage on his face afterward. It was so awesome. I loved that part of the movie. I loved the ending of this movie. This movie had a great fucking ending.
It did. The fucking riot shield fucking kill us. It's so whack, dude. It's so whack. It was like when I saw it, I was just like, God, it's like it enrages me because it's like that's what happens at least once a night in Call of Duty. It's like if you're not getting taken down by a fucking hacker, you're just running into a guy with a riot shield, walks like fucking crouch walks all the way across the street, and then he just like fucking whips the riot shield back and just knifes you real quick. It's just like cool,
dude. Well, Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, here on the Crack Cellar Podcast, we have a sacred, enshrined segment known as the hit, the miss, and the whiff. What is your hit?
There's a lot of hits.
There is. It's hard to
choose.
There's
a lot of hits in that movie. What would be the hit? Probably, honestly, if I'm being real, even though he didn't have much screen time, I think it was probably bringing Christopher Lloyd as the grandpa. Because, I don't know. He probably wasn't like the coolest actual part of the movie, but it's kind of just like the prime example of their level of who they were working with in the movie. You know, like they brought in a lot of cool talent you don't see a lot, like the RZA and stuff like that. But the fact that Christopher Lloyd just shows up as like old man shotgun, like when he's just like, how many shots? You brought a lot of shotguns. He's like, you brought a lot of Russians. I was just like, man, even his lines are racist, dude. I love it. Like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd was fucking amazing in this movie.
He like actually acted like an old man, though. You know,
perfectly.
It wasn't like this unbelievable old man. Like, like if he would have been like, he's like, there's not enough Japs or something. I would have been like, that's right. I mean, that's believable. You know, old men need to have that energy.
Yeah, they do. It's been a while, but we have the same hit. Mine's also Christopher Lloyd in this movie, but I'm gonna drill down a little bit more than you did. And I'm going to say my actual hit is the Christopher Lloyd scene with the double barrel shotgun in the old folks home. I fucking loved this scene so much. This is one of my favorite action movie scenes probably in the last 20 years.
That's how Don Salamanca should have handled Gus Fring.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. Dude, just like from like his little like, I'm playing coy, I'm just an old grandpa asleep on my chair, like that whole thing with them like about to kill him, and then he just opens his eyes and they go wild and he smiles at them like the devil and just opens his double barrel shotgun from underneath the blanket, just murks both the motherfuckers. Then that's not even the best part. The best part is when the fucking orderly from the old folks home comes in and is like, hey, old man, I told you to turn that damn TV down.
Yeah, and he pretending that the arterial spray of that shotgun blast wasn't against the wall that we're not showing right now. It's like, okay.
And I like the look on Christopher Lloyd's face after he says it. He just gets like this straight look, like I'm a normal guy, and just turns the volume down on the remote and goes back to sleep. That was fucking amazing, dude. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your miss?
I think the miss, honestly, is just it being too much like John Wick. I think that's the only thing that really brings it down. I think that's the only thing people could really attack about the movie, and I really think it's the only thing ultimately that subtracts from it, like from a critical standpoint. Because it could stand alone by itself if it was just changed a little bit. Like, I know they tried doing it with like the CIA thing. He was like a ex-spook or something like that. He wasn't actually like a real like rogue assassin like John Wick was, a part of like some elusive society. I see where they were trying to like differentiate it, but at the end of the day, it was like lockstep almost with like the main key points of John Wick. And even the beginning, you know, where like before they explain the daughter that wants the kitty and stuff, the way they open it with like, who are you? And he's feeding the cat on the counter. It's like they're trying to like draw this parallel. He's like, oh, he's a cold-blooded killer, but he loves his little animal, you know. It's like, I feel like there's certain things that just they went out of their way to actually draw a parallel with John Wick where I didn't think it was necessary. And I don't know. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
It's not really a hard miss, though. Like, at the end of the day, that's not killing the movie. It was a great movie. It's just, like, that's... I mean, there wasn't, like, a bad actor that stood out in the movie. No. There wasn't bad writing. The music was awesome. There wasn't a particular bad scene where you're just like, well, that ruined the movie. You know, there wasn't any agenda behind it that really popped out. It just like, I mean, that's really the miss for me, is just the fact that it seems like, and, you know, it being the director and the writer of John Wick, that he just couldn't leave base. He couldn't leave home. Or from your end of things, it was like more of a revenge angle to him, which ultimately still draws the parallel and kind of like, I think, brings down the movie in an overall image of things.
Yeah. But think about it like this. The revenge in Nobody was over a fucking kitty cat bracelet. That is gangster as fuck.
Yeah, but that's the real revenge. But in the beginning of the movie, the way they use the actual cat, the misdirect is the parallel, and that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I forgive it because it's the same writer, so he's not stealing it. If this was a different writer to me, I would 100% agree with you.
That's so funny. I ignored you 5 times. Like, I was just like shocked. I'm like, wait a minute, what? You're like, I told you 5 times, bro.
That's like older brother syndrome. Like you ignore some things I say, and that's natural. I get that. But what I will say is that I think this was a revision. I don't think this was like Derek Kolstad just saying, I'm going to do John Wick over again the exact same way to fuck over the studio that owns the rights now. I think that he said, I'm going to take John Wick and I'm going to refine it into something better. And that's what he did with this movie. I love John Wick. I love Keanu Reeves. I love Lawrence Fishburne. I love everything about the John Wick series. But when I watch Nobody, I cannot help but feel a different vibe from it. It's like this 2.0. Like when we talk about 2.0 in Rocket League, Broadcaster Nickels, I feel that way about Nobody. This is John Wick 2.0. It's not a simple 1.1. It is a 2.0.
It's definitely like, you know, where John Wick was a serious take of that type of story. Nobody is a comedy, like a almost dark comedy take. I mean, I guess it's as close to a dark comedy because it's not too dark. I wouldn't actually call it a dark comedy, but it's actually like a comedy, right? It actually has comedy elements to the movie, whereas John Wick is actually just an action movie.
That's true.
You know?
There are no comedic elements of John Wick. You're right.
No,
there is some
not
comedy
besides the puppy.
Incorporated.
The puppy. I think when sadly the darkest part of the movie, the puppy getting killed and him going on his revenge of killing like literally 100 people over a dog, even though it's morally justified. I mean, if we're being seriously objective, that's comedy right there. Yeah. I'm gonna kill 100 human beings over a fucking dog.
That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, my miss is gonna be the Russian gangsters letting Hutch walk out of that club without
for sure.
any
That's a real miss.
resistance. I was so lockstep with this movie 99% of the time. Like I found no fault in most of this movie, but this is that one part of the movie where I was just looking at it like, no, that makes no fucking sense. There's no way in hell that these Russian gangsters wouldn't have just waited for him to get out of range of their boss and then put a fucking cap in his ass. They let him run all the way to his fucking car, start it up, turn on the 80s rock music in the fucking Challenger, and speed off. And then the Russian boss comes out and puts one fucking bullet into his windshield as he's running off. And I'm just like, no, that should have been bullet number 29, not bullet number 1.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Bullshit.
That car should have been lit up before it ever fucking took off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's the weak point of the movie for me. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your whiff?
The whiff. Probably RZA.
Damn.
The lack thereof.
Happy Juneteenth, motherfuckers.
It's probably the lack thereof, though. In fact, I was thinking about this the whole time we've been talking about this, and you brought up the last scene with him in it, because that's really the only scene with RZA in it. Yeah. And now that I'm thinking, I wonder if it has anything to do with COVID.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually, because now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think there was actually a scene with RZA and Bob Odenkirk together. There was the last scenes where they're all doing the fight scene together, but there's no actual like scene where you could be like, oh, they were there together.
Yeah, for sure.
So now that I'm thinking about, maybe it's not so much it is a whiff kind of, because it's just an unfortunate tragedy, but RZA was underutilized. Like the moment he's on the radio and you're hearing him, and I'm like, is that RZA? You know, like I'm just like, oh shit, RZA's in this movie. When he's gonna pop up? And after he didn't show up for so long, I'm like, this is gonna be one of those dead brother takes or something. He's like listening to, it's like an hallucination, you know, like no one's actually talking to him on the radio type thing. But then no, he actually shows up. So it's just like, did he just not get paid enough? Or it'd been cool to actually see, like, because as soon as I saw RZA, I thought of like Common being in John Wick 2, or was it 3? I'm not sure. But I was just like, oh shit, it's gonna be like some dueling assassins type shit, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. We got what we got, but at the end of the day,
more RZA is what you
want. It would have been cool, dude. I feel like RZA's another I know I talked about Dark City earlier today. You know, just a sleeper people don't respect. RZA as an actor, I know people respect him as a rapper and a writer, but dude, some of his funded. I forget. He did a rap Asian kung fu movie. I forget what it was called. It was like The Golden Fist or something like that. It was a dope ass movie, dude. No one respected it though. He just has a unique style. I feel like he's very what's the word? Soulful. Yeah. You know, he doesn't break character. Like he doesn't like. He's like Vince Vaughn of rapping, you know, like he doesn't change. Like you just gotta you get RZA. Vince Vaughn of rapping. You know, you get RZA. You don't. RZA ain't gonna morph for you for a role, right? Like you get RZA.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually liked how RZA was just this voice on a radio that like Hutch would just talk to like as a therapist. RZA was Hutch's therapist for the first 2/3 of this movie. He's like this disembodied voice on the radio trying to talk him off the ledge, like, yo, Hutch, bro, chill out, bro. I know what you want to do, but chill the fuck out, bro. It's not worth it. And then at the very end, when you think that like Hutch is on his own, just like about to go home alone on these asses, but alone, instead, we're greeted with fucking RZA on the fucking balcony, just throwing down golden platinum sniper shots on these motherfuckers.
Nah, dude, that was that Pendleton, dude. You know that what it was. That was that 708 Pendleton. What do they call it in college? It's definitely not a fucking what is Weatherby Vanguard or whatever fucking commercial rifle that fires a 308.
Either way, I thought that was a badass entrance for him, and I thought he was featured in the best scene of the movie, which is the final scene of the movie. You agree with that, right? That is the best part of this movie.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's like that's the foreshadowed scene, like Home Alone. That's why I called it the Home Alone scene, because it like when they're setting it up, I was like, oh, this is like Home Alone 2, where they're setting up the fucking abandoned apartment.
Yep. Hell yeah. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, my whiff is a little different. You see, I didn't take any Juneteenth reparations into my mind when I decided my whiff. No, I'm going with old Whitey. Michael Ironside. How did they not get him more in the action, dude? Michael Ironside...
Are you seeing them LBs, bro?
Dude, bro. Michael Ironside is a national treasure.
They only could promise him 3 hams, dude.
Listen, you know what? Michael Ironside is probably eating a rum ham with Danny DeVito on the sideline somewhere. That's fine. But I wanted to see Michael Ironside in that final scene with RZA, with Christopher Lloyd, with Bob Odenkirk. I wanted him to be a part of that.
What do you think? What type of gangster conversations would be had at a table with Danny DeVito and Michael Ironside, just like 6 whiskeys deep, dude, just trashing it, dude, just lighting that fire on the dumpster, dude, just fucking hearing Michael Ironside. It's just like, I'll tell you what, Disney were a bunch of cucks. I fucking hated that little prick that played Jet Jackson. I'll tell you what.
Let me tell you, bitch. I ran a train on Denise Richards 7 times just before we finished rapping.
So it's like, soon as Denise... Wait a minute. What is that? Wait a minute. Who played Catwoman?
Halle Berry.
No.
Oh, you mean the original Catwoman?
Get out of here.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah. Remember that scene where she's just whipping those heads off the fucking mannequins? I could just see it now, just like them yelling "cut," and Danny DeVito's just like, "All right, Michelle," licking his lips. He's like, "Come to my trailer."
You ever eat sushi?
God, can you imagine? Imagine Danny DeVito fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. That's just an abomination.
It's an abomination that I respect wholeheartedly.
I mean, get at it. Dude, goddamn.
Yeah, dude. When I was growing up, Michelle Pfeiffer was like a tier 1 hottie. So.
Oh no, dude, she still is pretty banging for her age.
Her age, dude. Her and Elizabeth Shue, who was recently on The Boys. Elizabeth Shue was like one of the hottest chicks of my era. And she is I would still hit that a mile away, even now. And she's like 50 years old, dude. That bitch knew what she was doing.
Who's Elizabeth Shue?
She's like the lead. She was like the leader of like the corporate power behind The Boys. Like behind Homelander.
The blonde?
The fucker. Yeah. He was like
mommy.
Her mother figure. Yeah. That's Elizabeth Shue. She was in Adventures in Babysitting. She was in The Karate Kid. Like, she was in all of the movies that came out I was growing up.
I feel like I'm having deja vu here, because I feel like we've had this conversation. I brought up Jennifer Connelly, and then you were like, "What about Elizabeth Shue?" And then you brought up Adventures with Babysitter or whatever, and I was like, "What movie?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Traffic.
Well, that being said, Broadcaster,
man, the '80s were so magical, man.
They were for many reasons.
Babysitters were never hotter than the '80s, too. No. Let's be real here. Every time people think about babysitters, they're really thinking about that iconic image from the '80s. The one
Elizabeth
that actually
Shue.
would fuck you.
They're thinking about Elizabeth Shue. That's who they're thinking about.
God damn. I feel like there's like 3 MILF porn actresses that kind of look like her too. Like, she really got her image like kind of dominated.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, here on the Crack Cellar Podcast, we have the official, patented Nick Cage rating system. On that system, Broadcaster Nickels, what do you rate? Nobody.
Solid film. It's great. There's not a lot of cons, really. In fact, there's like pretty much no real cons to the movie.
You have to nitpick to get a con, yeah.
I feel like it's not like the movie of the century, but it's like stellar. It's still good. You know, it's a great movie. So I'm going to give it a Con Air. It's not Face Off. You know, it's not... I can't give it a perfect score because I feel like at the end of the day, it's still like a rehash of something. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not an original 100% idea. It's a great take on an existing idea, but it's not reinventing the wheel. It's not fucking a grand slam out of the park, you know? But it's a great movie, and I would not give it a bad rating. I'm going to give it a Con Air.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, I'll answer your rating with a question. Was Perfect Cell a rehash of Imperfect Cell, who got cut in half by Super Vegeta?
Can't fucking do timelines, splicing shit. That's not fair. Can't bring time travel into this shit.
Broadcaster Nickels, I am going to give Nobody a face-off, a strong face-off. I think that this is one of the greatest action movies in modern history. I think it is perfect from beginning to end. I think I love every single actor in it. I think I love all of the music. I love all of the direction. I can't. Do
I need to warn Bob Odenkirk that you might?
Listen, you can warn Bob Odenkirk that I can be his manager if you want, and I'll do that.
I'll take a bullet for you.
Nominal fee. I'll do that for him. But what I'll say is that this movie reignites my love for action movies. It reaffirms my belief that action movies will continue to exist through my middle age, which I am now transcending into. I sort of thought action movies were going to die, Broadcaster Nickels. I thought I was going to die with no action movie stars. Like, you think about Die Hard, you think about First Blood, you think about Terminator, you think about all like Predator, you think about all these badass action movies from our childhood. And
we'll have another renaissance. Just don't.
I think that Nobody is the beginning of that renaissance, Broadcaster Nickels, and that's why I give it a strong face-off, and with that, we will close out.
I think fucking Jon Stewart should take a knee. Bow wow of season 2.
And here is your moment of zen.